You wake up every morning with the same 24 hours that billionaires, champions, creators, and leaders get. So why does your life still feel stuck? Why are your dreams still coming soon? Why are your goals still sitting in your notes app? Why are you watching other people build the life you keep talking about? Because deep down you've been lied to. You were taught that success takes forever, that someday everything will magically align, that motivation will show up before action does. But the truth, your future is not decided by talent. It's decided by what you do with the next 24 hours. Every hour you waste scrolling, every excuse you repeat, every moment you delay the uncomfortable work, someone else is using that exact same time to escape poverty, build discipline, create income, transform their body, and change their family's future forever. And that should disturb you. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be is no longer information. It's execution. This is not another feel-good speech. This is a wake-up call for the version of you that keeps waiting instead of moving. You do not need more time. You need urgency. You need standards. You need to realize that your life is being shaped by what you repeatedly do every single day. The clock is already running. So the real question is, what are you going to do with your next 24 hours? Time is the one thing men casually waste while claiming they want more from life. A man will spend 6 hours scrolling through other people's success, then say he's trying to figure things out. He will talk about building wealth, leadership, strength, freedom, but his actions expose what he truly values. And the painful truth is this: most men are not broken because they lack opportunity. They are broke because they live as if life will always give them another Monday, another year, another chance. Pressure changes the way men move, and women understand this better than men think. A woman does not trust words forever. She watches direction, consistency, and discipline. She notices whether a man moves with urgency or drifts through life distracted. Because deep down, people are drawn to those who take responsibility for their future. Men admire driven men. Women feel safe around purposeful men. Nobody is inspired by potential that never becomes action. Comfort has quietly become the modern man's biggest addiction. Endless entertainment, constant distraction, temporary pleasure, these things make a man feel busy while his life stays exactly the same. And every day he delays action. Someone else with the same 24 hours is becoming sharper, stronger, richer, more valuable. And harder to ignore. Poor habits never look dangerous in the moment, which is exactly why they destroy so many men slowly. Sleeping a little longer, procrastinating one more task, wasting another evening online, avoiding difficult conversations, none of it feels serious today. But habits do not care about your intentions. They care about repetition. And over time, the small things a man tolerates become the reason his confidence disappears, his finances stay weak, and his life feels stuck while everyone around him moves forward. Discipline is deeply connected to how men see themselves and how the world responds to them. A man who cannot control his habits eventually loses trust in his own word. He says he will wake up early, but he doesn't. He says he will work harder, but he delays. He says he wants success, but his routine is built around comfort instead of growth. Women notice this faster than men realize. They pay attention to consistency because consistency reveals stability. A man's habits quietly communicate whether he can lead himself before trying to lead a future, a family, or a purpose. Modern distractions are designed to make men feel productive without actually progressing. Cheap dopamine has replaced ambition for many people. Endless scrolling, constant entertainment, and temporary pleasure create the illusion of escape while silently training the mind to avoid discomfort, responsibility. And meaningful work comfort rarely feels dangerous when a man is inside it, which is why so many never realize it is destroying their future. The human mind naturally seeks safety, ease, and familiarity, but growth has never lived there. A man stays in the same routine, the same excuses, the same financial struggle because discomfort feels inconvenient. He waits for the right time to take risks, improve himself, build discipline, or chase opportunity without realizing that comfort is quietly charging him interest every single day he avoids action. Strength is built through pressure, and both men and women recognize this instinctively. Men respect other men who embrace responsibility, challenge, and sacrifice because it signals resilience. Women are naturally drawn toward men who move with purpose even when life becomes difficult. Not because perfection matters, but because courage does. A man who constantly chooses comfort over growth eventually begins to feel weak in his own eyes. And once self-respect starts fading, confidence becomes performance instead of reality. Modern life makes comfort dangerously accessible. Endless entertainment, instant gratification, and distraction allow men to avoid confronting their potential. It becomes easier to numb frustration than to build discipline. Easier to complain about money than to develop valuable skills. Easier to dream about a better future than to become the person capable of creating it. Motivation is emotional, and emotions were never designed to stay consistent every day. A man feels inspired after watching a video, hearing a speech, or imagining a better future, but the feeling fades the moment discomfort arrives. That is why so many men stay trapped in cycles of starting and stopping. They wait until they feel ready to work hard, wake up early, build a business, fix their health, or change their life. But successful men are not driven by emotion every morning. They are driven by standards and routine. Discipline changes the way a man sees himself because it creates evidence. Every promise he keeps to himself strengthens his identity. Every difficult action repeated consistently builds confidence that cannot be faked. Men naturally admire discipline because it represents control, strength, and leadership. Women notice it too, often more quietly. They observe whether a man can remain focused under pressure, whether he follows through when life becomes difficult, whether his actions remain stable even when emotions change. Modern culture teaches people to chase motivation while avoiding structure. Men consume endless inspiration but resist repetition, even though repetition is what transforms lives. Discipline is choosing the gym when nobody is watching, learning skills when nobody applauds, staying focused when distractions feel easier. And continuing to move forward long after excitement disappears. Ideas mean nothing without execution, and the world proves this every single day. Millions of men talk about becoming successful, financially free, disciplined, respected, or influential, but very few actually move. They plan endlessly, consume information constantly, and wait for perfect timing that never arrives. Meanwhile, someone with less talent, fewer resources, and less confidence is quietly building momentum simply because they started. The world does not reward who dreams the most. It rewards who acts despite fear, uncertainty, and discomfort. Action changes the psychology of a man because movement creates belief. Most men think confidence comes first, but confidence is usually the result of execution. A man becomes stronger by doing difficult things repeatedly, not by imagining himself becoming stronger someday. Men naturally respect execution because it reflects leadership, reliability, and courage under pressure. Women notice it through behavior more than words. They pay attention to whether a man follows through, whether he can create stability, whether he turns vision into reality instead of constantly talking about what he plans to do. Excuses have become socially acceptable, which is why execution has become rare and valuable. People blame the economy, their background, bad luck, lack of support, or limited opportunities while wasting hours every day avoiding meaningful work. Execution requires responsibility because it forces a man to confront the gap between his goals and his habits. The uncomfortable truth is that most people already know what they need to do. They simply refuse to do it consistently because consistency demands sacrifice, patience, and accountability every single day. The next 24 hours are not just time passing, they are a silent test of who a man is becoming. Most men underestimate this because change feels like something distant, something that happens after a big decision or a perfect opportunity. But transformation rarely arrives in one dramatic moment. It begins in the ordinary choices made when no one is watching. What a man does after reading this, how he uses the next day, and whether he breaks the cycle of delay or continues it, is already shaping his identity more than he realizes. A man's psychology is deeply tied to momentum, and momentum is built in hours, not years. the difference between a man who feels stuck and a man who feels powerful is not intelligence or luck. It is action repeated consistently in short windows of time. When he chooses discipline in the next 24 hours, even in small ways, he sends a message to himself that he is no longer negotiating with comfort. That internal shift is where change actually begins, not in motivation, but in behavior that refuses to stop. Women often observe this shift before words can explain it. They recognize when a man is becoming intentional with his time, when his priorities start aligning with his future instead of his distractions. Men also respect this version of themselves more deeply because execution removes doubt and replaces it with self-trust. A man who proves he can act under pressure becomes less dependent on external validation. The next 24 hours will either reinforce old habits or interrupt them. Every decision to delay, escape, or avoid responsibility strengthens the same identity that keeps a man stuck. But every decision to act, even imperfectly, begins building a different direction. The life a man claims he wants is not waiting in imagination. It is hidden inside how he uses the hours he keeps wasting without noticing it.